Alright, what's going on, people? Bring Roadmap here, and today we are going to do an introductory lesson on my upcoming course on Patreon, which I am going to make available for you guys here on YouTube, just so that you guys can see a glimpse of what it is. Now, this is going to be uploaded on the month of February, and it's going to be about the inner game. Now, I really don't have a title for this one, but this is going to be based off of a book by Timothy Galloway called Inner Game of Tennis, so you guys can check that book out. What I'm going to do is I'm basically going to take the principles of that book and bring it in the sport of boxing. And not only that, I'm going to give you guys practical applications on how to slowly get the benefits of this particular mindset, because you can't just read the book and, learn everything there without doing any form of application. Now, let's start off with why I made the course. I made the course mainly because of my Patreon members, alright? They did not necessarily request this shit. However, ever since I made my Patreon page, or my Patreon channel, whatever you want to call it, a lot of my members have been asking me the same freaking question, and, it just came to my consciousness, or it just came to my mind that, this has been a common question among all, and it's finally time to discuss this once and for all. And it's going to be, or this question is basically the question of, I'm doing everything right in training, I'm doing everything, I'm practicing it well, I'm doing the right mechanics when I'm practicing or when I'm in training, but for some reason I just cannot pull it off during sparring. Or I could also hear questions along the line of like, I know what to do, but I simply can't do it. I know what to do, but my body can't follow. I know the right technique, but I keep doing the wrong technique, right? I'm sure you guys can relate to this shit. And the main reason why this happens, or the main reason why you're facing this issue, is because you are not winning, or you are losing the inner game. You are losing the game within yourself. Now, let's start off with how coaches make you dumb. How coaches sells you these fucking courses about boxing and all this shit. Well, first of all, coaches tend to give away too many details without necessarily teaching you how to stop thinking, or how to stop overthinking about these details. They make you overthink so that they can make a lot of money in return. They say every little detail about every little move that you do, right? And also they fill you up, or they fill your mind up with freaking courses and with freaking details that are, I wouldn't say it's not necessary, but it's just not something that you think about. It's something that you do subconsciously after a while, and so this is how coaches make you dumb. They make you dumb by making you overthink, by making you overcritical about yourself, by telling you to, okay, take a freaking video of yourself and then study it, send it to me. I'm gonna give a feedback. Now you may say, well, isn't that exactly what your channel is? Well, I'm gonna tell you guys this, I don't really give a full-on feedback about every little thing that I see. I probably give like 70 to 80% of what I see, and the remaining 20%, I leave them as it is, and I allow them to discover it for themselves. I think that's a better way for like guys to learn. And also, I don't do too many, me personally, in my own training, I don't film myself too much, because here in the Philippines, I'm not sure where you guys are. Maybe you're a Filipino right now and you may say, well, in my gym we like to take videos, and we like to take videos of our sparring. Here in the Philippines, we don't do that shit, alright? Or here in my area at least, we don't really film a lot of tape, because there are other people in the gym, and it's just the idea of taking, or the idea of including someone in the gym or in a video without their consent is just a little off for us Filipinos, right? So that's why we don't really take a lot of tape. Anyway, so that's it. That's the reason why I made this course. I made this course because I think, first of all, a lot of guys are being overcritical, and second of all, I think a lot of coaches out there are making you all dumb, and they are making you more hesitant than you really need to be. They are making you more critical than you need to be, right? So there are three premises when it comes to learning boxing, in my opinion. Alright, there are three premises, and this is going to be the main core, or the core foundation of this particular course. Number one is that the body is self-aware. What the fuck does that mean? The body is self-aware. What the fuck does that mean, man? Alright, the body is self-aware, or the self-awareness comes from the idea that you can have, or your body has the ability to be in touch with its own sensations. And you have the ability to learn through these sensations without having too many external instructions, without having too many verbal feedback, you know. This is basically the definition of self-awareness in this particular context. So if you're doing something wrong, you just feel it. You know, there's something in your body that will sense your your mechanics are off. And so that's what self-aware is. Number two is that the body is self-correcting. And I'll give you guys a very simple explanation on this. When I used to train, or when I was training before and I was doing my uppercuts wrong, because back then my uppercuts were long as fuck, you know, it was like this, bah, you know. And so my coach told me to stop doing that shit and stab it, stab it. And he just kept saying, stab it. And for some reason I simply cannot do it. But there was this one day, I was getting in the flow, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2. And then all of a sudden he said, right uppercut. All right, here we go. I'm in a state of flow. I threw my right uppercut, bang, and I threw it short. I threw it perfectly. I didn't even hear him say any instruction, yet I did it correctly. How the fuck did I do that? Well, I did that because the body is self-correcting in the sense that once it starts to get things correctly, or once it starts to do things correctly, everything else will be correct. What the fuck does that mean? When I throw my combination sharply, right, I don't have to worry about each punch being delivered in the perfect technique or with the perfect mechanics. Everything will just fall naturally. And that's the same thing for single punches. If you throw a single punch correctly once, you don't have to have any instruction anymore coming in. You're just gonna keep doing it correctly over and over and over again. If you make a shot once in basketball, you're gonna keep on shooting and shooting and shooting that shit over and over again without any reminder of how you're supposed to do it. You know, and that's the same thing with boxing. The body is self-correcting in the sense that if it learns to do something correctly once, it will automatically do that same correct technique over and over and over again. And so my coach just said, again, uppercut, again, uppercut, again, uppercut, and I kept doing it correctly. He did not have to remind me, no, stab it, motherfucker. No, stab it, bitch. No, he didn't have to tell me any of that. I just kept on doing it correctly. And he just kept saying, again, 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 again. And I just kept doing it correctly. It's a miracle, you know? And then number three, the third premise is that habits are better developed when they are unidentified. Think about your bad habits as a kid. Your bad habits are, you know, probably biting your nails, playing with your hair. You probably have a habit also of like fucking scratching a particular part of your body, or you probably have a habit of like, what else do we have as a kid? What habits do we have, or what mannerisms do we have in our body? Not even habits, just mannerisms, just some gestures that we have. Maybe you like to move your hands while you're speaking, right? How the fuck do you develop that? You did not develop that consciously. Most likely you developed that subconsciously. The way we develop our bad habits should be the same way that we develop our good habits. We should develop them subconsciously. And they should be kept unidentified. For example, if you have a habit of biting your nails, most likely you did not know that it was a habit at first until somebody told you to stop doing it. Stop biting your nails, motherfucker. That's gross, right? The moment you hear that shit, you'll be like, oh, do I keep doing it? Is this a habit that I have? Right? But before somebody tells you that shit, you don't know if it's a habit. You just naturally build it. And so for boxing, I think the same way can be applied, or the same thing can be applied. If you don't think of something as a bad habit, you won't, or you're more likely to fix it. Meaning, if you don't think that you have the habit of dropping the hand, or dropping your guard, or fucking not stepping out on time or being flat-footed, if you don't have this idea or this standard of what a bad habit is and what are the bad habits that you're currently doing, you are more likely to fix them. And you are more likely to replace them with newer ones that are better. You know, like I'm gonna tell you something, guys. When I was starting out, my step-in was fucking slow as shit. My step-in was slow as shit, so my opponent kept check-hooking me. You know what my coach did? He didn't go ahead and say your step-in was too slow. You know what he did? He was like, I don't want you to throw the jab alone. You gotta throw the 1-2 like it's one punch. And by throwing the 1-2 like it's one punch, I was able to build a new habit. I was able to fix my step-in without trying to fix my step-in. You know what I mean? He was like, throw your 1-2 like it's one punch. That's what he told me. And you know what happened? The next time my opponent tried to check hook my ass, I just went 1-2 and my right hand landed first before his check hook landed. So that's what I'm trying to say here. You want to fix your bad habits, you have to erase the idea that you have a bad habit and replace it with new ones. You know? And again, habits are better developed when they are unidentified. And so what is the inner game? The inner game, again, I already told you guys this. And what's the role of the conscious and the unconscious side of the mind? The conscious mind tells you what to do, and the fucking unconscious mind or the subconscious mind tells you, or the subconscious mind pulls off the action, alright? And so you want to be able to win the inner game by removing any interference coming from your conscious self and relying on your subconscious abilities in order to do that. And so this is what I'm trying to put out here. This is what we're going to try to do for this month. And this is what we're going to do with my Patreon members, alright? This is what I'm going to try to teach them through a series of drills, a series of techniques, a series of challenges. That's what I'm going to do over on Patreon. So if you guys want to join in, if you guys want to hop in this particular challenge, if you guys have this particular issue, you guys can go over there and become a member today. But again, I'm not trying to sell you shit. You already got the concept down. It's just a matter of applying it. And for me, I have a particular way of applying the principles in this book. You can try it out for yourself, or you can do your own self-discovery shit. You know, as Timothy Galloway calls it, self-directed learning. You can direct yourself to freaking do things correctly, alright? And so how is this any relevant in boxing? I think in boxing, there's just too many fucking theories out there. And after a while, a lot of guys, they get over-occupied with these theories. And it's just a very common problem, man. People overthink, boxers become overly critical about themselves. I see way too many boxers have one bad sparring session, and then they go on to have like a 1 hour rant about it. You know, well, I didn't keep my rear hand up high here on my temple when I was throwing the left hook. Well, I was just stepping out on time when I was throwing my 1-2, and I'm also seeing that my back foot is not perfectly aligned in the same angle as my front foot. And so I was off balance and I was getting overwhelmed with combinations. Shut the fuck up, motherfucker. Shut the fuck up. That's why one of the things that we'll start doing here on this course is that people who want to do this, one of the things that I will make them do is I'm gonna stop them from taking a tape of themselves. Because one thing about me, I didn't even notice this, I have not taken a fucking video of myself in months, guys. You know, I never took a video of me in the gym. I never took a video of me sparring in months. In months. However, I get the same fucking feedback from people. You're still good. You're still sharp. You know? And I still feel like I'm sharp. That's the power of feeling, motherfucker. I don't need a video to validate that I'm good. Of course, someday, you know, or sometimes you need to take a video of yourself to just, you know, have a general view of what your mechanics are. But guys, I swear to God, I haven't taken a video of my sparring or my training in months. I might have taken a couple of clips, like 30-second clips. But I don't go so far as to, you know, studying my whole fucking session. Well, I trained for 2 hours today. Here's my heavy bag. Alright. Heavy bag. Well, I was pivoting well here. I was circling to the left. But I could have done better by circling to the right too. Oh, here's my shadow boxing. Here's my shadow boxing. I don't think my stance was wide enough. So if I decided to step back, you know, he's still gonna catch me. I'm not gonna have the foot speed in order to dodge every punch that he throws at me. Well, over here, I have my sparring session. And here in my sparring session, what I noticed in my opponent is that he likes to fake with a jab to the body. And then when he would fake with a jab to the body, I would fucking react by dropping my head. And then he would come with a hook on top, which I wouldn't be able to judge. And then I would turn bladed. And then when I turn bladed, he would come with an uppercut down low. Shut the fuck up. Like again, what I'm gonna try to do here is to get your mind to shut the fuck up. And to allow your subconscious self to do everything, and to allow your muscle memory to do the work for you.